you're allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. Hey Huskies and friends, welcome to a new episode of the podcast. I hope everybody's doing well and staying bundled up and warm because it is cold out there. So, as you know, GBC has a ton of resources to make your journey as a student more manageable, and not only for your time as a student, but beyond, because we keep you guys ready for the working world. And as some of you may or may not know, I am a second-year student in the Community Worker Program, and as a part of the program, not only do we do a placement, but we also have to develop a professional portfolio. Now, when I mentioned this to my producer, Claire, she wanted to hear more about that, and we thought you might want to as well. So today, I'm joined by none other than my producer, Claire. Hi,
Hello,
Claire.
hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for the welcome. And it's nice to be speaking again to everyone. For all the long-term listeners, they might know that I've hosted some of the episodes in the past, but I do more of the producing stuff in the background now, and I am very, very happy that you, Khdrea, are hosting because you are wonderful at it.
I mean, you make the magic happen, Claire. I'm just the voice, but she's really the runner of the show. So today we're talking about what's in my portfolio. It's kind of like when you do those videos or when you see them on Instagram and you're like, what's in my handbag? But it's what's in my portfolio. I can't show it to you physically, but you can listen.
And so the listeners can't see it, but I can actually see it. I was lucky enough to receive a link to your portfolio before we started this episode. And what I'm looking at is so beautiful. It looks like a website. It has beautiful colors. There's green and blue. There's a picture of you. You can scroll through it. It's a very cool online tool, essentially, for showcasing yourself. But why don't you explain a little bit more, first of all, to listeners about what even is a career portfolio?
Of course. So from my understanding, and I'm not a professional, guys, but I think I have a pretty good understanding of what it is. And a portfolio is a compilation of academic and professional work you've done that exemplifies your qualifications, skills, training, and experience. So basically, it's a more detailed and oftentimes much more creative and personalized resume. And I think the process of curating a resume and writing cover letters can be tedious, but a portfolio allows me to add all the things.
Awesome. So, as I mentioned, I can see what's in your portfolio right now, but can you explain to listeners what you put in your portfolio?
Of course. So for me, it's more like, what didn't I put in the portfolio? I put a little bit of everything. So before moving to Canada, my community work looked different. So my portfolio gave me the perfect opportunity to show that. I included work I did in my school community, my church community, and one of my crowning achievements, no pun intended, but I was a festival queen back home, a Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, JCDC festival queen back home. And a big part of my role is that in that capacity was doing things within the community in my parish. So I would host functions, I would give speeches at graduations, attend civic functions, stuff like that. So I added those as well. And my previous qualifications before coming to GBC was a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism. And there were a few projects that I worked on, whether they were voice work or news stories. So there's a little bit of everything, and also some of my hopes for the future. I also included my mission statement, my vision statement. So whoever gets to view this portfolio would see, what my plans are for myself and the things that I stand by, like my values, the things that are important to me, and the change I intend to make in this world. So I think my portfolio gives employers or just people that I might work with the opportunity to really get to know me just before going into an interview per se. If they see my resume and they're interested and they click on my portfolio, then you get to learn so much more about me. And I feel like it also gives you a really great opportunity to add things that might be missing. Sometimes we have little gaps in periods when we worked and stuff like that. So I think the portfolio gives you an opportunity to add, did you do any additional training? What did that look like? Did you volunteer? That kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And we'll get into the nitty-gritty of a couple more of those things, but that sounds great, and I can totally understand why you are such a great podcast host based on all that past experience. So you did digitize this portfolio. Like, as I mentioned, it's like a website of you, basically. How did you do that? And would you recommend digitizing it or having it like as a physical portfolio on paper? Or, yeah.
There are many digital options available, actually. You can use stuff like Canva and Wix and Google Sites. I use Canva because Canva is my favorite website for anything creative. I am a Canva stan, 10 toes, 10 fingers down, because I think it makes things so simple. If you're not familiar with using editing software like Photoshop, or you simply don't have the capacity to do it, even though, we're going to plug GBC here. Apps Anywhere allows you to use Adobe Photoshop and all of those great applications. But if you're looking for something really simple and free, you can use Canva. It also has like all these templates, so it's really easy for you to like get stuff done. So I always use Canva for my creative work, and it does give you the option to create your own website. But yeah, and I think if you wanted to do a physical portfolio, that would be great for people who do programs that are concerning things like art, that kind of thing. And you might be working with different textures, and the persons that you want to show this to will need to see it and feel it. Then it's great if you create a physical portfolio. But I think if you just want something to show to a potential employer or a potential partner for anything, then a digital one works fine. I mean, we're on our phones and our laptops, tablets, for everything now. So if you can just send a link, it makes it really, really easy. They click on that, it takes them to the web page, or it takes them to the document. They scroll through, they get to know a little bit more about you. But if you're going in for a physical interview and you have a physical portfolio, take it with you. If the interview is going well and you have the opportunity to show it, because I mean, you're selling yourself here. You gotta let them know what you can do, what you're capable of. And I think a portfolio really gives you that next step or a little bit more edge when it comes on to interviews and just putting yourself out there.
Absolutely.
So digital or physical is fine.
So how is this different than a resume or, say, a LinkedIn profile?
So I think a resume and LinkedIn can be a little bit more cut and dry, relevant, of course, but it doesn't give much room for creativity. And there's so many rules for resumes, like it should be 1 page in length, they should not have photos, etc. And the truth is, if you give people an inch, they take a mile. So I think a portfolio is a great opportunity to take the mile. LinkedIn and resumes keeps things very simple and to the point. But if you send an employer a portfolio, they might take the time to look at it and they'll see something that probably piques their interest. Also, sometimes you might have gaps in your resume because, for example, like me, when I just moved to Canada, finding a job was pretty hard, but I did keep myself very active. I did try to volunteer, did a couple other programs, like little things in between where I would have been learning more skills and adding more value to myself and then as a potential employee. So I would put those things in my portfolio because there's probably not space in your resume if you're trying to adhere to like 1 page or 2 pages. The portfolio gives you the opportunity to add even more. And then also, because I'm coming from the realm of doing more creative work, I don't necessarily have a tangible skill as in something that you can touch or feel, but I think I would do things like quote unquote voice work, as I mentioned before. I can add that to my portfolio. So if someone goes on my website, they can click on a link and they'll hear my voice. So they'll get to see me, or hear me rather, in the same way you guys are. You'll get to hear me before you see me. And I think that just adds a more personal touch. Of course, you can add videos to LinkedIn, but I think your portfolio is just a lot more personal. I think LinkedIn also uses very specific language. And of course, you always want to keep it professional, but I think a portfolio just gives you a very personal interaction with the person who is seeing it and getting to know you on a different level before coming in for an interview, or even after the interview. Probably you really interested them, or they were particularly impressed by what you had to say, and then maybe after the interview they'd take a look at the portfolio and be like, okay, what they said here checks out, what they said here checks out. So it really gives you the opportunity to have a more personal connection with your potential employers or partners. So
yeah, it sounds like it really gives you an opportunity to create something in your own type of way, in your own sort of format, and tell your story the way you want to, outside of the conventions of a LinkedIn profile or resume. And so when is the best time for someone to make a portfolio, do you think?
I mean, I think whenever you're ready, really. For students, we often do projects, group work, or otherwise that make you go, I wish I could share this with someone other than your teacher or your classmates. And I think a portfolio is the perfect place to put that. It demonstrates organizational skills, innovation, among other things. And in my previous semester, I had to design a community development program, and tedious as it was, I was quite impressed with the end result and my grade, of course. So not just because it was a good project, but it was also quite applicable to my placement. And I think it would show potential employers that I have a vision and planning capabilities that their organization could benefit from. However, if you're already in the working world, I would say start now. It helps you to keep track of your career growth, as well as it acts as a really great marketing tool. So whenever you're ready to switch things up and change careers or request a promotion or raise, a little proof is there, if you know what I mean. So, you have something to show, hey, this is what I've done since I've been with the organization. There is growth between this and that. And I think this makes me a perfect candidate for this position or something like that. So honestly, again, it's whenever you're ready, but I'd say students, start now. If you're in the working world, start now.
So I can imagine through building this portfolio, you've learned a lot. Can you let me know what you've learned, maybe about yourself or about creating things like this while you've been compiling your portfolio?
Definitely. So first of all, font sizes matter.
Okay.
I would say I learned to appreciate my journey. While I'm still figuring things out career-wise, I was able to see how relevant all my past experiences are to where I am today. They're all stepping stones, and they say it's more about the journey rather than the destination. So this made me learn to appreciate the journey a lot more. I can look at something that I did maybe 2-3 years ago, or something that I did even 2 years ago. For example, one thing I did when I moved to Canada, I volunteered with an organization, and we created a podcast / documentary. And I think even though I had previous editing skills, it's something that proved to me that, hey, you can do something on your own. You can finish something. And I think that meant a lot to me, just being able to prove to myself that I could finish something. So again, it's a lot more about the journey than the destination. So I think that's one of the things I learned while compiling my portfolio.
Yeah, that's great. And so how do you plan to use your portfolio now moving forward?
Well, in my job hunt, of course,
Yeah.
if I'm ever invited to speak at a function or facilitate a
Okay.
program, it would give the organizers or the organization a better understanding of who I am and what I bring to the table. Again, because they can see previous work. And also, if you're doing a website, if you're using Canva, Wix, Google Sites, whichever one, it also gives you the opportunity to put like indicators on your page. So you could probably add like a comment section, or you could add a review section where you've done work with persons before, and you could take their little testimonial and you could add that there.
Oh,
So they also have the
very cool.
opportunity to hear, because in this world,
Yeah.
references, it's really important, especially going out into the working world. You know, it's who you know and who knows you. So networking and connection is great. But if you have that on your professional portfolio on the website or wherever, it also gives your employers or, you know, partners to say that, okay, people can vouch for this person. This is someone who
Yeah.
has done this. This is someone who is capable, that kind of thing. So yeah, use it,
Yeah.
network, get out there.
It's very cool. It's like a combination of a resume and a website. I mean, I know that LinkedIn has some of that stuff too, but like visually, it's a lot more appealing, I think. And your visual presentation of yourself is a very personal thing too. It shows who you are as well. So font sizes and everything.
And I think also with it being a visual presentation, like LinkedIn, there's so many people on LinkedIn. It's easy for, if you send someone the link to your LinkedIn profile, they can go on that and they can get distracted, start scrolling somewhere else. They'll look on their notifications, read their messages. But if you have a link to your portfolio, it's a very zoomed in kind of thing, like focusing on what this person is showing me. So I think
So
having
true.
a portfolio gives you that real connection before you get to connect, if you get what I mean.
That's a good point too. Yeah. So speaking of good points, if a student listening right now wants to make a career portfolio for themselves, what kind of tips would you have for them to do that?
Okay, so I would say take some time to think about what's the message I would like to convey. What would you learn differently about me that's not on my resume if you read this portfolio? And what's interesting about you that you would want to share? So write that down. Find an interface that's easy for you, whether it is Canva, Google Sites, whatever, and get creative. There's so many templates, like I said earlier, so don't feel too pressured to have it all figured out. As one of my teachers would say, it's an evolving document, so you can always add, subtract, and just make it work for you.
Yeah, I love that. Did you have any like examples online that you worked off of or that you used as like an example that we could share with people that's not just yours?
Well, in class, our teacher actually showed us examples of what previous students did, but also we had a visit from the career services and they showed us some as well. So if you go to their website, or if you book like a consultation with them, they can show you examples of what a portfolio should look like. And then you can use that to kind of model yours from. But also, like I said, Canva has templates, so you can use that as well. And again, it's really like putting your resume in another format. So you're following the same format of your resume, kind of, but not really. So you can use that as your mold or your base, and then you can just build on that.
Okay, awesome. All right. That's great. Thank you so much for sharing all of this, Khdrea. Your portfolio looks amazing, and I think it would be a really helpful resource for lots of other students to use. So I know that you have some closing remarks you wanted to say as well. So thank you so much for letting me ask you all these questions, and I'll let you finish it off.
And thank you for coming, Claire. Thanks for being here, letting the people hear your voice. So it's not just me. But yeah, so my program is coming to an end, and that makes me excited, but also really, really anxious because I don't know what the future holds. But even though I may not know what lies ahead, I do have the power to prepare myself for whatever is to come, and that comes from using my resources of today to prepare for tomorrow. And of course, guys, GBC has everything in place to help you create your own portfolio, or to give you some professional feedback at the Career Services office located on campus. The staff there is welcoming, friendly, and very up to date on all the industry trends and the do's and the don'ts on how you can get ready for the big leagues, aka the working world. And as always, we have the details to how to get in touch with Career Services in the show notes. And if you do go, please drop us a comment or an email to our producer, claire.whitehead@georgebrown.ca, and let us know about your experience. It's been great talking to you guys again. Thanks for listening, Huskies. And until next time, stay safe, stay warm,
and walk good.